we're going to look at Duval County Public Schools. As a former resident of Duval County and Clay County, I do have a personal interest in looking at this data and seeing what it represents. And so I did see a news article today that the district is celebrating receiving a B letter grade, but I have suspicions that the data looks very similar to Hillsborough County. And what I'm going to disclose to you guys is a very sad tale that's happening in Duval County that no one is talking about, at least from my angle. So, we have a map of Jacksonville here, and I want you to notice that the further away from the city, the more that you have these green schools, and the closer you get to the heart of the city is where you're going to see again the same scale of the orange, red, and black schools. So I took it a step further. I want to do a little zoom in where you can see these schools and where they're located, and you can see that these are the communities that need the most support. Okay, so just to go back to look at this, if you look at this whole map, you see all of these greens. It looks wonderful. You have a couple of reds that's on the other side, right? And there's definitely more greens than there are reds. But then when you just look at a closer view of what's going on here, you can see that there are some major problems happening that need to be addressed. Okay, so the district grade, they received a B, and this is the historical data of the district. When you look at this, you say, you know what, Duval County seems like a great district. And you look at this and you say, okay, Duval County, you guys got a B. You've been holding down a B, and you guys are celebrating. And you're like, yay, we maintained a B. We're doing good. We're on track. But unfortunately, the map shows a different tale. So let's look at this data. The ELA for third grade was 51% in Duval County in comparison to the 58% that's in the state. So in comparison to Hillsborough County was 53. So when I'm looking at this data, I then go look to see proficiency because as I've said in my previous video, and I'm gonna post it up here again, level 4 is for proficiency. Level 5 is for mastery. So we're going to calculate the level 4 and the level 5. That comes up to 25%. So 25% of the district is either proficient or have scored a mastery level. So we combine those together. That means that we have 75% of Duval County public schools that are not proficient in reading. If this does not sound the alarms in Duval County, 75% is not proficient in reading. Okay, and that's based on the test scores that we see here. So just again, current trends that I brought up earlier, there is something that's happening between the transition between fifth grade and sixth grade, and I want you to look at the data. The data shows the exact same thing that's happening, not just from Hillsborough County but Duval County too. So looking at Duval County, you have fifth grade ELA 50%, and it drops in sixth grade to 47%, and that is comparison to the 56% in Florida, and then also the 54% in the state of Florida. And then we jump over to math. Fifth grade math, 57% in Duval County, and then you have the percentage pass in the state of Florida, which is 60%. You drop down and you go to sixth grade, you have 51% that pass in Duval, and then you also have 55% that pass in the state of Florida. And then, of course, you have the EOC exam, so that's algebra, geometry, biology, civics, and U.S. history. So when we look at this grade, and we're going to use the same scales that they use when we go from A to F, so we have U.S. history received a D, the state of Florida received a C, and the difference was 1 percentage point. So 69% was in Duval County, 70% was in the state of Florida. So Duval County received a D in U.S. history. It also received a D in civics. It also received a D in biology. It also received a D in geometry. And it also received a D in algebra 1. When we look to science, both 5th and 8th grade failed with an F. Math, they all failed with an F. The only exception was 3rd and 4th grade that passed with a D. Then we look at ELA. All of these are Fs. They're Fs. And like I said earlier, the proficiency rate for Duval County Public Schools is only 25%. 25%, y'all. So that means that 75% of Duval County Public Schools is not proficient in reading with these third graders. That is a problem. So we move on to student demographics. This is what really shocked me looking at this data. So, looking at the student demographics, the Black community is actually the highest with over 56,000 in comparison to 44,000 that are white, 15,000 that are Hispanic, 5,000 that are Asian, and then you have the other subgroups there. Okay, and then it is evenly pretty much split between male and female. And the free and reduced lunch is 54%. So, with the Black community being the highest, you would think that they would be better represented. So if we go look to the teacher demographic, you can already see there's red flags here. So you see that most of the teaching base is white. Therefore, that the majority in this district is not represented by the teachers and staff. So you have 4,530 white teachers, you have 1,914 black teachers, you have 376 Hispanic teachers, and then you have 245 other, which primarily being women. So, with that being said, you can now see that this is disproportionate. When we look at D's and F's in elementary, I need you guys to look at the amount of D's and F's that we have in elementary school, which is which compares to Hillsborough County. The list is just as long as here. And if you look, there are some similarities when we look at the percentage of minority students to the percentage of the economically disadvantaged and also the students with disabilities. If we look across these numbers, you will also see a very similar trend that is happening in Duval County, that has happened in Hillsborough County, and I'm pretty sure if I pull up other reports, it will pretty much say the exact same thing. There are some things that's happened systemically that are preventing our kids to achieve. And look at the amount of elementary schools that received a D or an F, which is the foundation of everything. So then we're going to look to the D's and F's in middle school. Again, I need you to pay attention to the amount of minority students, economically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities. Okay. This is the data, folks. This is what we have. So we have to do something. We got to.